Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Because it's Thanksgiving, I decided to create this makeup look, which is going to be another video, but I decided to scare you guys on Thanksgiving. So if you want to hear my little scary stories that I found, stay tuned. And I think this one is going to be a series. Like, I think there's going to be more to this one because it seems like it was left off at like a spot where, like, death a cliffhanger. So this is from the user, whoever's. The story is called My New Brother Is Not Normal. Now, before you go on and assume I'm some angsty teenager jealous of all the attention my newborn brother is receiving, allow me to put your mind at ease. I'm in my mid-20s and have long ago moved out of my childhood home. Stranger still, my new brother is not a baby, and I can only wish the situation was as simple as the fact that aging parents went completely insane and decided to adopt a child. Don't get me wrong, adoptions is great. It's just my parents that shouldn't be adopting anyone. All of this started some 3 months ago. After going a whole week without a call from, in my opinion, overly attached mother, I decided to take the initiative and call her myself, just to check and see if they were all right. She answered after a few rings and started going on and on about how my brother was just keeping them so busy. I'm an only child, but I wasn't too alarmed yet, as I assumed she was talking about my childhood friend Aaron. It wasn't unusual for our parents to jokingly call us siblings. However, after I worriedly asked her if Aaron got into any trouble and if he was okay, my mother, rather annoyed and frustrated, told me she wasn't talking about Aaron. She was talking about my younger brother, Kyle. I see you, Kyle. My little brother's name is Kyle. So I can totally already relate to this. I'm just kidding. Let me reiterate, I'm an only child. Panic started to set in and my mom was becoming increasingly more flustered at the confused questioning. As I was getting nowhere, I hung up on her, got into my car and drove to my parents' house as fast as I could without breaking the speed limit. I don't think there are any words in the English language to properly describe the shock and confusion I felt when my mother opened the door for me with a small, dark-haired, shy boy hiding behind her legs. I almost said between her legs, but that ain't right. That would be even weirder. I have never seen this kid in my life before that day. My father got home a short while later, and questioning them about where the F this kid came from didn't get any more productive in person than it was over the phone. They both claimed Kyle was always there and had always been my brother. Curiously, however, unlike what you expect from a couple who's just been reputedly accused of not being the parents of their child, and uncharacteristically for my parents, they never got mad. They were just bewildered and confused, but not angry or anxious at all. 2 hours in, I actually convinced myself they were playing a prank on me, despite the fact that in 25 years I've been alive so far, they've never done that before. I started frantically calling aunts, uncles, and my last remaining grandparent, my mother's dad. They were all as dumbfounded of Kyle's sudden appearance, and my parents' insistence of the contrary as I was. Given the seriousness of the situation, my grandfather, 2 of my aunts and uncle with his wife in tow, immediately drove down to my parents' house. Guess it's lucky most of the family lived in the same city. If you thought all of this was too strange to be on an episode of The Twilight Zone, you better be sitting down. One by one, as they arrived and saw Kyle, my family members all became convinced that yes, Kyle was in fact my brother and that it had always been that way. If it wasn't for my uncle, whose shocked expression might have as well been and "I can't effing believe this" sign tattooed onto his forehead, I might have assumed that I was going insane. Jesus F, I shouted, exasperated. Kyle's room was my room. When I left, Dad used it as an office. He's not in any of our family photos. Where the F is his birth certificate? What kindergarten did he go to? What school is he attending? Who are his friends? For a second, a look of realization flashed across all of their faces. But it went on as soon as it came when Kyle started loudly yelling, "Look, Mommy. Look what I made," proudly holding up an empty piece of paper and showing it into everyone's face. And they all immediately forgot about all the things that were wrong with the situation. While everyone's attention was on that empty piece of paper that they're all reacted to as if it was a genuinely impressive drawing for a child Kyle's age, whatever age that was. The little imposter stared me and my uncle down in the way that disturbed me and more than anything my entire life. If I didn't think it was a child looking at me, I would have been sure I was about to be stabbed to death. I looked at my uncle, nodded in the direction of the front door, and we both slowly walked backwards out of the house, not taking our eyes off Kyle. After some deliberation, we agreed to call CPS. Well, our country's version of it anyways. After all, we didn't know where this kid even came from. For all we know, there's some desperate parents out there looking for this demon child. Now, if you people, unlike me and my uncle, have been paying any attention and are smarter than a rock, you know exactly how CPS situations went down. Two very concerned government officials arrived. They see Kyle and become immediately convinced he's my parents' kid. That was 3 months ago. Between then and now, my uncle and I tried all kinds of stuff. He took Kyle to the park while I tried to talk to my parents, but it didn't matter that Kyle wasn't there. No matter how many times and how many ways I pointed out the logical impossibility of this situation, they always just got distracted and immediately forgot what we were talking about. According to my uncle, after they left the house, Kyle looked him straight in the eyes and threatened to kill us both if, in his own words, we keep trying to take his mommy and daddy away. I drove Kyle to a neighboring city and left him there just to find him on my mom's lap when I got back. What? Since my uncle's wife seemed to completely forget about Kyle after a week, we figured maybe if we can keep Kyle away from my parents for long enough, they'll forget about him too, and maybe then he'll stay away. In order to do this, my uncle tried to drive Kyle to an isolated cabin in the woods. While he was driving, Kyle stabbed my uncle and crashed the car. Thankfully, the little F missed all of his vital organs, but by the time my uncle came to, he was gone and back with my parents. What the heck? My parents are also getting worse. My dad straight up quit his job to spend more time with Kyle. This is like a crazy obsession. And this kid is definitely some like parasite. This is messed up. They also adamantly refuse to let Kyle out of their sight at any point now. Last I saw them, my parents looked horrible. They had bags under their eyes and were emaciated as if they've been shooting up heroin for 10 years now. Whoa. I don't think they're eating or sleeping or doing much anything anymore. The house looked like a tornado passed through. There was trash everywhere, mold growing on bits of food on unwashed dishes piled up on every available counter. I tried talking to them, but they barely even noticed I was there. I'm not sure they knew who I was. I don't know what this thing is, but it sure as shit is not a child, much less my brother. If things go on like this, I'm afraid something really bad is going to happen to my parents. My uncle and I are almost out of ideas. There's just one thing left to try. The day after tomorrow, we're kidnapping Kyle and driving him out of the middle of effing nowhere. Chop whatever the hell is masquerading as a child into tiny little pieces and we're burning it. If you don't hear from me again anyways, just wish me luck. What? I mean, come on. They're gonna kill it? That story is crazy. Can you imagine if that were true though? Or like, imagine calling your mom after not talking to her and she's like, oh, your little sister is being such a pain in my ass. If my mom said that, I would think she would be talking about her dog Nugget because it's her dog. Like, that would be the only rational thing for me to think is she's talking about the dog and calling it my sister, not like she actually has a kid there. It seemed like everybody knows who this child is besides the original writer of that post. That is crazy. I literally would die. Like, that scares me, honestly. That story really scares me. I don't like it. And hopefully there's a part 2, and hopefully he doesn't actually kill Kyle. Because Kyle doesn't seem human. So that's not going to work out in his favor, I don't think. So if there's a part 2, I'm definitely going to be putting that up on my channel. So I will put the link down to the original post below, and you can check that out if you want. It is on reddit.com. I sound a little nasally because I'm definitely getting a cold. So I hope you guys all have a good Thanksgiving. Hopefully your mom or your aunt and uncle didn't show up with some random sibling that you have now or cousin that you've never heard of until now. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Be safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!